Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jaylee. This is JLeesCorner. This is my review for Iyanla Fix My Life, Season 7, Episode 4. Okay. I did not review last week's episode with Lunel, only because I watched it and I felt like it was so general to it didn't move me to review it. Let me say that. Not that it was a bad episode, but I just didn't feel the need. It was a little bit basic. It was a good episode, but a little bit basic, and I just didn't feel like doing that or whatnot. But I am here for this episode, okay? But if you have not done so already, please come over to subscribe to my channel and become a whole JayBird. Y'all know it's late in the middle of the night. You can also remember to relax and to relate and to release and to center yourself and everyone around you, and to always inhale and exhale. Okay. Follow me on IG and Twitter at J_Lees_Corner. Let's move on past all of that stuff and whatnot. So this episode focuses on Terrell. Terrell is 40 years old. You know what I'm saying? He's one who wrote into the show because he feel like he is stuck between his family situation. Okay. Now he found out he was adopted, and he recently did like a whole DNA test, and he found his birth family. So he found his birth mom, he has 5 siblings and all of that. So it was a lot on him to find all that out. Now he brings up how he took the DNA test, which then linked him to a distant cousin. And then the distant cousin was able to link him to a sister who contacted him and then said, hey, I'm your sister. You also have 4 other sisters, okay? And I'm like, wow, that's a lot. He said that whole day he talked like each sister. He ended up talking to the mom as well, all within that day. So his birth mom and his adoptive mom, they don't get along, but they don't not get along. It's a weird awkwardness about, you know what I'm saying, who takes precedence in his life as the mother, whatever. So this is a real awkward what to do, newly found birth mom, you know what I'm saying, adopt, all that's going on. Now he brings up how he also feels as if his mom, the birth mom, says stuff that kind of upsets him. He brings up how like it'll be if his adoptive mom, who we call his mom, will like comment on his stuff on social media, the birth mom will feel like, oh, well, I won't comment too, or vice versa, or whatever. But he says as far as the thing that his birth mom says that kind of makes him upset or has him feeling some kind of way, it's like, well, like if she had raised him, he would be different, he wouldn't be gay, that he's her son, and how as if the adoptive mom can't claim him as her son or whatever, and also how she never wanted to give him up. So she just says little things that makes him feel some kind of way and everything. He brings up how she told him that she thought about him every single day, but he doesn't fully believe that sometimes she just says things just to say them. Now he also brings up that when the birth mom had him at 12. Yes, 12 years old. I'm like, why wasn't somebody arrested? Because no 12-year-old should be out here birthing babies, okay? Was crazy to me. So again, he's 40. His mom is 52. They damn near cousins, okay? Anyway, he brings it back. He also has his siblings, and the siblings are like 38, 37. We meet 2 other siblings later, but when he said those 2 ages, I was like, wait a minute. If he's 40 and they 38, and the mama had him at 12, so she still continued to have kids as a teenager, because if she had him at 12, which means she had another baby at 14, and they had another one at 15, so she kept having kids and everything. And so I'm like, that's just like, it's a lot. And he says, even thinking about all of that, of what she went through, it feels overwhelming to him, because it wasn't as if it was some cool thing, her having a kid, because again, she was 12. And then even after she gave him up for adoption, she still had kids who I guess in some way that she kept, but she didn't keep him. So we then see Iyanla meets the adoptive parents, okay? Bobby and, was it Denise? Yes, Bobby and Denise, who just agreed upon themselves as a married couple 40 years ago to adopt 2 children. So they adopted, Terrell and then a little girl. So they wanted to adopt a boy and a girl. Which I'm like, that's a good thing too and whatnot. But they both bring up how, they were fine with him finding and having a bond in a relationship with the birth family or whatever, but they also want him to be able to ask them questions. You know what I'm saying? Whatever questions he has to discover about his past or whatever, they want him to be free to do that, but to not be afraid to ask them things because of how they may react to his questions and everything. And then Iyanla is like, y'all need to just stand firm as his parents, as what he's rooted to, because again, you don't want him feeling like him getting to know them is going to hurt y'all. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes people will do a thing to where they won't ask certain questions because they don't want the family that raised them to feel as if, they weren't enough. You know what I'm saying? So something that you don't ask questions because you feel like, okay, I can't ask that because I don't want to hurt my mom. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hurt my adopted mom or whatever. She also brings up how they will have to get to a point to the birth mom, like, we raised him. He's our son, but we don't mind sharing him with you as his birth mom. Because again, it's a dynamic of, even though they did not birth that boy, they raised him for his whole damn life or whatever. So we see that little part. Now, this is an episode went pretty quickly and everything. Now we then see 2 of the 5 sisters or whatever, and that is Angelica, 32, and Alex, 29. The 32-year-old is in the mustard color dress, and then Alex is in the gray shirt. And they both found out as kids that they had a brother when they were around 16 and the other one was around 10. And they bring up how their aunt was the one who would tell them about it because the aunt knew. The mom would deny it and act as if she did not have a kid, when she was 12 or whatever. But the aunt knew it all, so the aunt was snitching. Snitchy or whatever, okay? So the one sister brings up how I think it was the one in the gray shirt, how it would have to be hard for him to want to get to know your birth family, your birth parent, your birth siblings and everything, but you have to also include the family who you was raised with. And I love how Iyanla was like, well, no, that is the family who he was raised with. It's the family who raised him when his mother gave him up for adoption at birth. So it's not as if, oh, well, he just ended up with somebody, whatever, who is not his family. It's like, no, they raised him. That's who he's rooted to. And you have to, acknowledge that. You can't say it in any other way, because it can then look like something different and ain't what it is or whatever. She also brings up how that may be tough, but that's just what it is or whatever. And then as they talk, Iyanla says, and the sister Alex, who's 30, the younger sister in the gray shirt, how she can sense or see some kind of emotions that she's kind of holding on to. And she's like, you get angry sometimes, but she was like, well, yeah, whatever, because she had an aura of bottling up her emotions. And as she was talking, it's like she was trying to control herself. And, because she has feelings too about whatever she went through growing up with family and everything. So she asked them, like, y'all know that your mom, got pregnant with him at 12? And they said, well, yeah, like, we only have, like, bits and pieces of the story because, again, mama has always denied it. And only other family members who knew of it will bring it up little by little. And for me, I'm like, that's weird, because at 10 or 16 or whatever ages they were when they were hearing these bits and pieces or whatever, I'm surprised family was telling them things so young. You know what I'm saying? Usually you find out, like family secrets when you're like of age. Okay, like I did not know that my mom's dad, my granddaddy, had a kid outside of the marriage from my maternal grandmother, who had passed away my mom's mom passed away when my mom was 12 or 13. So I never met her. But again, I didn't know granddaddy had an extra kid until I was older. So I feel like, sometimes in families you do find out things, but you don't find it out until you're old enough to understand it. At 10 years old, I wouldn't know what to do with information. Oh, well, daddy or mama had a baby. Like, what? Where is that? So, that whole part was kind of weird or whatever, that the family gave them pieces of their mom's past of when she was 12 having a baby. Like, that's not, girl, that's kind of crazy. And then the sister in the mustard color dress brought up how, well, my mom, like, she didn't even raise me. I was raised by my grandparents on my father's side, you know what I'm saying? But the daughter in the gray shirt was raised with the mama. Okay. Now we then meet the mama. Okay, and her name is Angela. Angela, as I said, is 52 years old, and I feel like, boom. Okay, she has pain in her eyes, and I feel like it's just bubbling to the top. Okay, and while I don't like they put this wig on her, I'm going to ignore that, because again, the pain on her face is what I want y'all to focus on. Now, clearly mama got an issue with her son being gay. Okay, because as Iyanla is in there talking, she had the son she had him put up this right here. She asked him about his life and like every 7 years, like what he was kind of going through. So this is part of what he put up. And him putting, confused, dirty, ashamed of myself, false self, alone, I am gay, unacceptable. You then see a little bit of church, abandoned, and then rejected. So when the mom got there and they were talking about the son, and she brought up how, if he was raised with me, he would have been different, or he would have had a different life. And when Iyanla said, oh wait, but he went to travel here, and that like would he have been able to do the things he did that's on here with you? She says, well, no, her issue was like, he wouldn't have been gay, And she brings up, what God says, a man should not be laying with men. It should be women and men only and everything. And she tried to say that, she won't push him away from her because he's different. Still her saying how, what the Bible say, when you say that to a person who happens to be gay, it does make them feel as if you do not accept them. And I've always said that there's a way to say, this is what I believe. I do believe that God says A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, but I have no ill will towards you because you have to live your life and I love you regardless. When you do that, you don't have to repeat what you believe because you love that person regardless. And I'm saying, I'm going to leave that me and whatnot. So she brings up how, she knows that his life would have been different if she raised him. And I say, yeah, because he wouldn't have been gay. Or he probably still would have been gay. It's like she feels as if she could have prevented that. And I'm like, why does she keep holding on to that one part? And when Iyanla reminds her, like, but he had a good life with his family. Like, he didn't even have, you keep saying his life would have been different as if he had a bad life. And he hasn't. His life has not been perfect. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't have a bad life where you feel like you could have done better with him. And then she asked her about, like, what happened that you had a child at 12? Like, what is that story and everything? And she brought up how, having a child at 12, it made her very angry. And how, because she was so young for one, and she brought up that she was molested and raped and preyed upon and beaten up and all these things. And as she's saying all of this, you can see it's like the emotions that probably has been stuck deep inside of her since she was 12. It's slowly but surely like this bubbling to the top. And then as she's saying, like, I was raped and molested, she's like silently crying out, but tears and to where she couldn't breathe, and like she couldn't give her pain a voice, as Iyanla would say. And then she brings about she just kind of never dealt with the pain that she went through, how she just kind of never had a childhood, because people around her took her childhood from her, and she just doesn't like to think about it or talk about it. And again, that's why I said in her eyes you can see like there's so much there that she doesn't know what to do with. You know what I'm saying? Because, you can't have a kid at 12 and at 14. You can't have, 3-4 kids from 12 to, let's say, 17, and you're not damaged in some kind of way. Because, that's just not normal. You know what I'm saying? She admits about when she was that young, she was ashamed of having kids. So like, she just never wanted anyone to know about it. So that's why she would deny it when the kids asked about it when they were growing up or whatever. But the sister-in-law, she said her sister-in-law was the one who knew about it, and that's who told her kids. I'm like, your sister-in-law and shit, she's a snitch. Anyway, she told her, you need to have a few conversations with, your son, your daughters, what I'm saying, and also with your son's mom, because they need to have some kind of, inkling to what happened. And then, did she tell how it happened? I'm trying to think if I left that part out. Maybe she hasn't said it yet. I'm not sure. Anyway, Angela says how she feels like they all could be one big happy family. You know what I'm saying? Her, the son, the daughters, his adopted parents or whatever. But maybe his adopted mom is the one telling him they can't be. I'm like, nah, I think it's you. I think it's you who may not realize that, y'all just wasn't at that point yet, and you think some kind of way about his other mom or whatever. So from there, we see the three siblings having like a little breakfast or whatever, chit chatting with each other and everything. And Iyanla comes in and she asks the youngest sister, who was the one in the brown dress, she's 29, her Alec, if she's ever talked about her truth of how she was raised. Because again, Terrell was adopted by a family, and then Angelica, the other sister, was raised by her father's parents, and then Alex was raised by the mom. And then Iyanla brings up how that's why she saw in her like a very hurt pain, and she just wasn't expressing it, whatever. And then Alex kind of says that she just doesn't speak up, and the sister even brings up how like she'll hold her pain in to help others feel better. But when Iyanla tells her that you really need to speak your pain or speak your truth because one day your own kids could be here discussing their hurt and their pain based on stuff that you did not express yourself. And then finally Alex kind of just cries, and when she was crying, this kind of giving her pain her pain a voice, and you see her take a breath like she was just finally able to just breathe it on out, because there's so much she was holding in. And she then admits how it was a lot going on with her growing up, because it's like it was a lot of desperation, abuse, and just running from CPS because the mom didn't want them to take her, so she didn't even go to school when she was in 3rd grade. Because the mom knew if I put her in school, the CPS and the police would know where she is and they can take her. So again, she just had a hard ass childhood, okay? But her talking about what she lived through the mama, that makes Terrell break down crying, hearing what she went through, okay? And Iyanla bring up how y'all all need to kind of express what y'all lived through one way or the other. And, and I feel like they do, because it's a lot. Like, for them to have not been raised together, they all have this certain level of pain that stems from the mama. Even though she wasn't there, the mama still caused them some kind of pain. Okay, so we then see she brings the mama in to have a talk. Okay, and Alex tells her mom how, growing up, you were, verbally abusive, you were physically abusive, and you used to beat me and everything, and how, you would at times leave me alone for days at a time. You know what I'm saying? And so I felt abandoned because you would just leave or be abusive or be, physically or verbally. And she brought up, I felt unimportant to you. And I'm like, that's like to go through. Now, Angelica, who again went to live with the grandparents of her father, brings up how even though my grandmama, my grandparents loved me, I longed for your love as my, like, I wanted to be with you because you're my mama. You know what I'm saying? And that no matter how much love I got from my grandparents, it still wasn't what I needed from you. Okay. And as they were talking, the mom kind of got defensive, in my opinion, or whatever, or not just defensive, but a little bit dismissive. And them expressing how she wasn't there in one way or the other. It was almost as like what it was to me. Like, okay, what you want me to do? You know what I'm saying? And the mom brings up, like, I love my kids, and I love y'all or whatever, but circumstances came up that made things hard. And that wasn't an excuse, but when Iyanla pushed her to then say, well, you also need to admit not only that, but because of that, you failed them. The mom kind of said, well, yeah, but I only failed them to a certain degree. And I'm like, well, no, you failed them in all kind of ways. And, Iyanla's point was, you need to fully accept that you failed them. Even if you feel like you didn't fail them in every way, you still failed them fully in many ways or whatever. And the mom like, well, okay, but I don't have to be badgered about it. Again, the mom feels as if they are coming down on me for things that I don't or I didn't have full control of, or things I may not have known. It's like, no, you fully failed your children, and the sooner you can admit that, the sooner they can probably heal a little bit, because you understand what they're saying that you did to them. Okay. And then Terrell, who then brought up how I don't know if you're fully receiving what we're saying. You know what I'm saying? Because I think the mom, again, was being a bit dismissive and defensive. He brings up how I feel this heavy pain from my sisters, who I, again, just met within the last year or so, and you don't give the depth of their pain, but I do. You know what I'm saying? And for me coming into this and taking on their heavy pain, you know what I'm saying, I can't take on all this pain. Like, this is pain of neglect and just being left behind, like, and it's in all of us. And again, the mom, I feel like, it just wasn't, she just didn't get it at first or whatever. We do see him telling the mom how, look, I'm a gay man. I'm a gay black man. I am confident in who I am. You know what I'm saying? Even though you may have different views, I'm saying I'm at a point in my life where, I'm going to be letting go of things that weigh me down. Okay. And I need you to understand that. And then I love how he said, like, I get, it wasn't your choice to give me up or whatever. I get that, because at 12 years old, you couldn't raise a kid. You know what I'm saying? But if you raised me, I could have been on drugs, in jail, or dead. You know what I'm saying? And I've had 40 years of understanding that, to know that it's okay. You know what I'm saying? And me coming back into your life now could be the reason you're kind of reverting to who you were when you were 12 years old and had me. And then the mom brings up how she got pregnant at 12. She brings up how, her mom wasn't around, her dad had passed away, and so she was with her aunt, living with her aunt, and the aunt had a boyfriend. Well, the aunt's boyfriend had a friend who would come over, and she brought up how, he would, and you can tell she had kind of blocked most of it out, because, like, I think he was, like, preying on me, or, like, it was, but he had his eye on me. But what we knew for a fact is that friend of her aunt's boyfriend is Terrell's daddy. You know what I'm saying? And, she just brings up how, that's just kind of how it happened. And from there, because she didn't have anyone, it just was what it was. I do wonder, where's that aunt? You know what I'm saying? Who a lot like you, she's 12. That's why I feel like, how did she get pregnant at 12, have a baby at 12, the baby was placed for adoption at 12? Where was the aunt, the boyfriend, and the friend? Like, did they go to jail? Because someone had to be held, someone should have been held accountable for that. Okay? And she said the boyfriend's friend was like 18 or 19. So she's 12, he's 8. Nasty fuckers. Anyway, Iyanla explains to all of them basically that, by the time she was like 18, that she was just broken. You know what I'm saying? And so, based on everything she just endured, like, she would 12 kid at 12, because if she had the baby at 12, she probably was pregnant at 11. Girl, it's just seemed too much. But again, what she had went through, the multiple pregnancies, whatever, she had just went through so much, and then she was sitting there. You understand? Have you ever just, like, screamed out your emotions? She was like, no, and you could tell that she just wanted to scream. And she's like, okay, so let's go outside and just scream it out. And sure enough, Anthony went outside on the balcony and she just kind of let it all out. And then the kids was crying because they heard their mom finally kind of just releasing all this built upness that was in her for the past 40 years. And I'm sure it's more pain that she hurts, and who knows what else she went through. Because again, I also feel like we know who his daddy was. Do we know who the other kid's daddy is? Because again, if she had him at 12, who knocked her up at 14 and 15 and 16 with the other kids or whatever? Don't leave that be. Now we do see the two moms coming together, chit-chatting a little bit or whatever, and for the first time meeting in person. And Iyanla says, thank you. You did such a wonderful job raising my son. You saying, I thank you so much. And then Denise, the adopted mom, well, thank you for saying that. Saying, I'm happy to be able to meet you, to hear that, and to be able to say thank you. Because again, if Angela had never gave birth and gave up her son, Denise would have had the privilege to be his mom. And if Denise didn't do such a well job in raising him and keeping him safe to the point of being 40 years old and reaching out to find his birth family, Angela would have never met her son, later in life. So they both owe each other a debt of gratitude or whatever. And they both kind of say how they want to be able to be in each other's lives. Going forward or whatever. And then we do see Terrell come in, who tells them both that, I'm both y'all sons. I'm your son, and I'm also your son. And I don't want either of you to feel like you're losing me. I'm just gaining extra family, and I don't want it to be a tug of war. And I think the way he explained that was absolutely amazing. Because again, to think like, okay, I'm his adoptive mom, and I'm going to lose my son to his birth mom, or vice versa. And his thing was, no, neither one of y'all is losing anything. I'm gaining the extra. And I deserve the extra of it all or whatever. We then see the dad comes in, of course, and meets Angela and everything. Then the sisters come in. They all come in, and they sit around and chit-chat a little bit. And they all seem like they want to start to become this blended family, okay? We then see photos of them after the show and, at dinner or whatever with the family and whatnot, and how he, on a regular basis talks to his sisters, and how he is still trying to build a bond with his birth mom. But it was a good thing. I feel like this was an example of, again, starting the newness of a bond. You know what I'm saying? And I still think his mama needs therapy. And so do them sisters. And so does Terrell. Okay, a little bit. But it was a great episode. You know what I'm saying? I felt like his mom, birth mom, hopefully understands that, again, he's gaining extra family, and it doesn't have to be, two separate entities and whatnot. But that was it, y'all. Gotta go. Peace.